So the Chargers, they fall 19-17 to the Kansas City Chiefs, which means that they swept us once again this year. It's a big loss for Los Angeles. Now 8-5, tied with Denver and Baltimore. It's going to come down to tiebreakers. We have the one over the Broncos, but we don't have the one against the Ravens. The good thing is that Baltimore's schedule the rest of the way can pretty much guarantee they'll lose at least one of those games. They're at New York against the Giants versus Pittsburgh, at Houston versus Cleveland. You just have to think they're going to lose at least one of those. So if the Chargers can win out, they will get that highly coveted fifth seed, which means as of right now, they'd go up against the Houston Texans in the first round. And that's the matchup you want. You don't want the 6-3. You don't want to go to you don't want to go to Pittsburgh and face that defense. And with the way Russ is cooking right now, Mike Tomlin, it's just not a matchup the Chargers are going to want. I know they played earlier in the year, but that was Justin Fields. That was not Russ. And the Chargers were banged up, but still, you want to go after Houston, dealing with those injuries, bad offensive line. We saw what the Chargers were able to do against Patrick Mahomes in this game up until that final drive. 4:30 left when he got the ball. Mahomes, I was vintage Patrick Mahomes, but until then, that point, the Chargers were dominating up front. I'm looking at, of course, Bud Dupree, Khalil Mack, looking at Joey Bosa. These guys were just wreaking havoc off of the edge and making it difficult on the Chiefs, who just struggled to do much offensively. They had a couple of I'm not going to say they had some big plays. They put together some good drives, but so did the Chargers too. This was a game that you just had to have won. You have a lead late. You got to get a stop, though. At least hold them to a deeper field goal and get a chance to get the ball to Justin Herbert. But to just let the clock completely run out, and they had 3 timeouts, it's inexcusable on my on the end of the Chargers. And I think the reason why they lost this game, and I've been saying this for really probably a month at this point, there's just not enough playmakers on this team. The reason why the Chargers are good and not great is because they don't have enough weapons on the outside. Like we saw, for example, a tight end that sort of kind of came out of nowhere, more catches in the second half than he did all season. I'm looking at Stone Smart, 3 for 54. The Chargers, they just need guys to either step up or they're going to have to go out there in the offseason and get a lot more weapons, like T. Higgins, for example, a Chris Godwin. But I definitely do want to stay on this topic of this game. So where do we want to begin with, man? Let's go with the offense, then we'll talk about the defense. So Herbert, 21 of 30, 213, a touchdown. He didn't look fully healthy. Herbert missed some throws too. If Herbert had played, let's say, one of his better games of the year, the Chargers actually win this game because they had man coverage. I think it was third down. They had a man, or it might have been second down, but they had a man coming over them across the middle, so sort of like a deep drag route type of thing, a deep in route, wide open man coverage. Herbert missed him, and then ends up like taking a sack, and then they kick a field goal, which gives them the lead. But if you want to beat the Chiefs, you can't have the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hand last, especially when he only needs a field goal. As good as the Chargers defense played in this one, I think I can speak for the majority of Chargers fans that nobody felt good about kicking that field goal to go up a point against Mahomes in his own building. It's just, no. I mean, yeah, you have to do that, but to be excited about it, absolutely not. And Herbert's a large reason why, honestly, the Chargers did not win, even though I get he doesn't have the best O-line, he doesn't have the best weapons. I mean, some of these throws he just flat out missed, and if he makes them, they win this game. It's sort of the thing about Joe Burrow is he's been getting blamed for losses. Herbert's going to take blame too, man. The rushing attack, pretty much non-existent. Gus Edwards had a couple of good runs late in this game, but I mean, Vidal goes 8 for 34, Edwards 10 for 36. Without J.K. Dobbins, the Chargers just don't look very good. They don't look like a good football team on offense. If Dobbins plays in this game, pretty much almost guarantee they win this. That's how big he's been for the team this season, but he wasn't. Darius Davis, they tried to get him to carry, but it got completely blown up by Chris Jones. Taylor Heineke came in and had a run for 12 yards. He was in there for one play. Palmer goes 6 for 78. Palmer had a really good game. Quentin Johnson, I thought, had a good game. He drew a couple of pass interferences as well, did catch that touchdown. The O-line was amazing on that play. Like, the Chargers did do a lot of good in this game, but as they've done this entire year, they just haven't done well enough. When they face off against top teams, it comes down to a couple of plays, and they just cannot find a way to do it. Like, who have the Chargers beaten this year that's been good? Let's go look. Denver's actually the only team they've beaten this year that's good. And that's not to put them down, because the Chargers, they were in it with the Ravens. They've been in it with the Chiefs twice. Cardinals are under 500 out of this point. They did drop that one, but like Pittsburgh, they were tied going into the fourth quarter. So they've competed with good teams. They're just not winning. And they're going to have 2 more chances to go up against the Bucks, who are in the playoffs. Actually, no, I don't think they're in. Are they in the playoffs? I think they are, actually. Let me look. The Bucks are over 500 in the playoffs. So that's a big game for the Chargers. The Chargers cannot lose that, because if the Chargers fall to 8-6, all of a sudden they're going to drop behind Denver if they beat the Colts. So it's honestly like a must-win game being at home. You've got to win that. You cannot go out there and drop another one. And then Denver, that's going to be a big game too, because you lose that, you don't have the tiebreaker anymore. At New England, at Las Vegas, obviously those are must-win games. So Los Angeles, if they win out, they can still go 12-5. But if they start to drop like some games here, I mean, they're going to be in jeopardy of not making the playoffs. Like, let's say the Chargers split their next 4 games, they're going to go to 10-7, and there's no guarantee that makes the playoffs too. Well, actually, technically, there's no guarantee, because if the Colts went out and the Dolphins went out, then it would come down to, I believe, conference or strength of opponent. But that's kind of like really asking for a lot. The Colts and the Dolphins to both win out. I think the Chargers will make the playoffs, but there's a huge difference between the 7th, the 6th, and the 5th seed. The 7th seed right now has to go to Orchard Park in Buffalo. And let's just be honest, I don't think the Broncos or Chargers are winning that game. I don't know if anyone, I don't even think the Chiefs honestly could beat the Bills right now. That's just my opinion. A lot of people would disagree, which is fine. The 6th seed, you're going to Pittsburgh, which even though that's a tough game, the Chargers can win that. And then the 5th seed going to Houston. So it just gets easier, and then easier. So the Chargers, they do need to lock in here and start winning some games. Yeah, I'm happy with the effort, the fact that the defense played as well as it did, and the Chargers, they were down 13, and they end up coming back, taking the lead. But it's not good enough, man. This offseason, the Chargers are going to have to make a lot of moves. But considering where they were at last year, that really where they're at the past couple of years, the fact that this team's competing, they're winning the games they're supposed to. They're competing in the games that nobody really thinks they're gonna win. So you gotta be encouraged. It's only year 1 of Harbaugh as well. I mean, new OC, new DC, Minner, of course, and OC Roman, and new head coach, and a lot of new players as well that came with those coaching staff, and a new general manager as well. So you can't expect this to happen overnight. I know it's a cliche, but there is one that says Rome, wasn't built overnight. That's kind of how I think of the Chargers. Is this isn't exactly Rome. I think it's going to get there. I do think the Chargers will win a Super Bowl. I do stand on that with Herbert. They'll get at least one. I don't know when it will be, but this season I do think they've got a chance. But it's going to come down to seeding, right? If you go on the road against the Bills, you might as well just not even show up there. Like, the Bills are just amazing, man. And they have a huge home field advantage. Like, Josh Allen's the best player in football right now. But defensively, the way they looked against the Rams, I mean, maybe the Chargers actually would have a chance. Like, defensively, they've been good all year, but and the Rams, the Rams literally didn't even punt. Like, they didn't even, it's pretty crazy. Like, or they didn't turn, I don't know if they might have punted, but they didn't turn it over at least. So, I mean, I guess in football, you always got a chance, but it would just kind of suck to see this season end as the 7th seed, to be honest with you. But the Broncos' schedule is tough. That's something I don't think, I haven't mentioned that. So Denver is against the Colts. I think that game's a coin flip too. I know everyone's going to pick Denver. I think the Colts legitimately can beat Denver. And then they're at Los Angeles against us, at Cincinnati versus Kansas City. So I don't think the Broncos are going to win out by any means the rest of the way. I think they'll probably go maybe 2-2. I think they'll probably go 2-2 the rest of the way. So if the Chargers if they go 2-2, then they'll be fine. They'll end up more than likely staying where they're at. But you'd like to win out here. You'd love to win out and then have the Ravens drop a game, and then that way the Chargers would be the 5th seed. So, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thunder Alley, I'm out. Peace.